there, thanks for joining me to color. Today we're going to be working on this adorable Whimsy Stamps image called Mr. Frosty. So I went ahead and stamped my image on some Neenah 80-pound solar white cardstock with some Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I'm going to color in with some Copic markers. If you're interested in the colors I used, you can head over to the store blog and you'll see a pin card at the end of my post that will tell you all the colors I used, and you can save it to your pin board for later use. I like to do that for every post that I have the colors for, so that we can go back later on and say, oh, I really love that color, and you have a pin card so you can go ahead and save that. If you don't have a Pinterest board, you could also just save it to your computer, or you could print it out and save it in a notebook or whatever you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do my colorless blender here on the outside after I get all my blues on there. I started with BG 000, and then I'm going to do BG quadruple 0, and then I'm just going to go over all of those with my colorless blender to kind of smooth out some of the lines that I had going on there. And then later, when I get all done, I'm going to stamp some little snowflakes and emboss them with some white embossing powder that came with the little snowflake stamps. Come with your stamp this time. So I thought that would be really cool. And if you want to see that, you're going to have to watch the real-time video. I will show you how I do all that then. So now I'm going to go ahead and color my birds, and again, make sure to head over to the store blog and pick up the pin card so you'll know exactly what colors I used. I tried to keep it pretty simple, and I made my card not in the Christmas theme because I didn't stamp a Christmas cinnamon on the front, so you could use it as a thank you card after Christmas, because he doesn't really have any like Christmas per se things on him, so he could be a wintertime card that you could give out any time of the year. The stamp set does come with a sentiment that says Merry Christmas, but I could not get it to fit on the front of my card the way I wanted it, and it also has a little snowflake on it, so I just didn't love how it looked, so I chose just not to use the sentiment on the front of mine this time. But you could totally use the sentiment however you wanted, maybe trim the snowflakes off and then stamp those separately. I don't know, the font they used for the Merry Christmas sentiment just seemed a little it didn't stamp as pretty as I wanted it to, but I'm sure it was just me. So you could go ahead and stamp that and make it, I'm sure, adorable. So now I'm just using my B20 to add a little bit of shadows down there for my snow, and then I'm adding a little bit of shadow to the little stripes on his hat and his scarf, and then I will go over the edge of those with my colorless blender just so that it will appear white at the ends. And for the snow down there at the bottom, when I got all finished, I'm going to go ahead and add some Stickle Stardust down there to add some glitter. You could also do some crafty fluff or maybe some liquid applique you could put on there and then blast it with your heat tool and dry it, and you will get some puffed up little snow down there at the bottom. I think that would be super cute. So now I'm going to go ahead and we are going to color the snowflake, or nope, the snowman. We're going to do the snowman next. So I'm going to use all those colors there, and I tried to keep all my darkest colors towards the edges so that it appears darker, and then I fade out to white on the other side of my snowman. I don't want to color him all the way in because I want him to be white but still look like he has some shadow. So I'm going in with my C3 wherever I feel it's the darkest, and I'm trying to keep it lighter over there towards where he's facing the little bird on the lamppost, so that it appears that the sun is shining down on him a little bit. So I'm not doing anything fancy, I'm just going over the edge of each one and adding all of my C's on here. And then when I get to the last C, I'm just going to take my colorless blender and quickly brush over my colored area just to give it a little bit more of blending. I found that the back colors weren't blended as much as I wanted, so I went ahead and just quickly swiped over the top of them to make them softer. Now I'm going to do a quick coloring on his nose, and I'm just using 3 colors to do that. And after I got done with the first set, I went ahead and went back with a second coat because it still wasn't blended as much as I wanted it, and I wanted it to be a little bit darker, so that always helps out if you just use it a couple of times, and that'll make it a lot tidier. So now I'm going to do my little buttons, and I did just a couple little dots around the string on the buttons, and then I filled it in the rest of the way with my W7. And later I'm going to go over the top of the string with my Spica clear glitter pen so that it will add some sparkles. I'm also going to go ahead and add all those sparkles to all the little swirls that are going on there. So now we're going to go ahead and color in his coat, and then we're going to color his hat. And again, we're using some W's for that. And I'm just keeping my W8 to all of the darkest areas wherever I want the shadows to be the most. And I'm trying to be really careful too, because I don't use my W8 that much, so it's really wet. So if you find that yours is really wet like mine is, it might help to take the other cap off just so that it pressurizes a little bit and it doesn't bleed out onto your paper and make a big blob. I know that never happens to anyone but me, I'm sure of it, but it tends to bleed out and make a big mess, so just try to be a little bit careful. Or if you notice it's getting wet, pop the other end off, the other cap off, and it will keep it from doing that. So now we're just going in with our W6 and we are adding some more shadow in there. Just a quick swipe across. It's getting pretty close to done now. And then we're going to take our W5 and we're going to fill that the rest of the way in. Usually when I get to the last color, I tend to swipe over the previous colors just so that it blends all the colors together and kind of swipes them. For me, it makes it feel a little bit smoother. But that's me. You know, it may not work that great for you, but I tend to swipe over the entire thing and that makes it look a lot smoother and not quite so many lines or blended harsh statements there. So now we are going to go ahead and work on our hat band and our scarf. So I'm going to go ahead and do the top and the bottom hat band with my BG 75, 72, and 70. And I'm just carefully going around the stars and the dots on my hat band so that I can color those in later. Because I'm going to make those stars yellow, so I don't want to get any of that blue-green on there because it's going to be hard to take it off. And then I just left a little patch of white at the top of that top hat band just so I could color it in with my BG 70 and give it a little bit of a highlight. And then I decided it wasn't dark enough, so I'm just going back over the entire thing with all three colors and blending them out. Then we're going to go in and we're going to do our scarf. So I decided I was going to do every other or every couple of spaces there on his scarf. And I don't know why, but the back scarf has stripes and the front scarf does not. So, but I just decided we were going to go ahead and leave it that way. You could draw some lines on there and then color them in with the stripes. I just decided I wasn't going to do that. And then I decided to keep my white space just to the little spot that's over there by the lantern and just use the other two colors for the rest of his scarf. I thought since it was behind him it would be a little bit darker, so I just decided that that would be the easiest solution. And then I'm just going back over now with my BG 72 and coloring in clear over the tops of both colors and swiping it back and forth just to smooth out that little line a little bit. And then I decided there was still a little bit of line there, so I went over it with my BG 70 just to soften it a tad bit more. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our yellows. So we're going to do our stripes on our hat and our scarf. And we're also going to use these colors on the little cuffs of his coat and on his shirt. And we'll add our second color. And then we're going to come back in with our Y26 and fill them the rest of the way in. And I also use that color to color my stars on my hat. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the leaves. So we're going to keep it quick and simple. We're going to go with our G07 to color all the shadowed areas. And then we're going to come in with G05 and add a little bit of color to that. And I'm also going to use my G05 to color the little leaves that are just dots, or little tear dots. And then we'll fill them in with our G12. And I try to be careful with this because there's not much space left and I just want to get into those little tiny areas of my leaf. Now we're going to go down here and we're going to do our lamp. So we're going to start with our W7 and I just picked an area and then did the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to come back in with the next gray and I'm going to color the rest of it in. And then for our little flame, I'm going to start with YR15, give it a couple little swipes across, and then we're going to fill it in with our Y35. And then for the glow around outside, we're going to do Y21, and then we're going to do Y00 just to soften that and bring it out a little bit. You could totally go ahead and color a little bit of glow on your snowman, but I just couldn't do the yellow snow, so I decided he was just going to be completely white. But you could add a little bit of a glow on there. There I just colored the little stick with E44, And we're going to go in and color his shirt with E47, 44, and 43. We're just doing a quick swipe with the darkest color, and then we'll add our medium tone. And then we're going to go ahead and add E43 to soften that up. Next, we're going to finish our little snowman up with our reds. So I'm going to color everything else that's left with my red colors there. Nothing fancy, I'm just going in with the darkest one first, and I did color those little dots on the little hat band up there too. So quick, just swipe it on there, E20 or R24, and I did the little dots or the little circle on his shirt too. So anyway, I hope you had fun coloring today. If you have a question, leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the little bell next to it so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Also, if you'd like to watch me put the card together, you can watch the real-time video, and it's at approximately 49 minutes that you can watch that. Otherwise, I hope you're having a fabulous day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!